This is CNN, home of fake news.
Everything else we've learned so far this week continues to grow in impact. The process of holding Meadows in contempt of Congress, it revealed a lot, including the remarkable fact that Congressman Jim Jordan, the man who's next in line to chair the Judiciary Committee if Republicans take the House, was himself pushing a plan to overturn the election. Now, just to remind you, here's the relevant portion of the text he forwarded to Mark Meadows.
Because he got busted lying yet again.
I want to display just a few of the message he received from people in Congress. On January 6, 2021, Vice President Mike Pence, as President of the Senate, should call out all electoral votes that he believes are unconstitutional as no electoral votes at all. A lawmaker suggesting that the former vice president simply throw out votes that he unilaterally deems unconstitutional in order to overturn a presidential election and subvert the will of the American people.
But what's the problem with that text he's reading? Well, it's Adam Schiff.
Got to ask you about these texts that you didn't write. I mean, how surprising was it to you to see like a screenshot of, a 3-paragraph summary of a 4-page thing that some other guy wrote, and yet it was attributed to you? I know that one of the favorite phrases of the left is selectively edit. Well, I mean, what were your first thoughts when you caught wind of this, when you realized that, this is actually what he was presenting, Adam Schiff was presenting in a slide and attributing it to you?
Yeah, the first thought is, well, nothing new here. It's not like we haven't seen this game before where
especially from him.
Problem is, that's not the text. Problem is he inserted punctuation. He deleted things to make it seem like one continuous thought from Jim Jordan to Mark Meadows talking about what Mike Pence should do. But that's not what that was.
The same Jim Jordan, who's rarely at a loss for words unless the question concerns his conversations with the former president that day, something you would think he might remember.
Democrats give us record crime levels, record inflation, and another bill attacking President Trump, sponsored by the guy who spent years misleading the Congress and, more importantly, the country on Trump-Russia investigation, on the Mueller investigation, on impeachments.
On the basis of the information we keep getting, I can say, in my opinion, it's now not purely circumstantial. We had the FBI director testify in open session about this, acknowledge an FBI investigation. Obviously, this is now public, that wouldn't be done on the basis of not credible allegations.
That wouldn't be done on the basis of not credible allegations.
Nothing we heard today has changed our view that there is no evidence to support any allegation that the FBI or any intelligence agency placed a spy in the Trump campaign.
Is there any evidence to substantiate what he's been saying about President Obama spying on him?
I haven't seen any evidence whatsoever to substantiate that.
Do you believe he's compromised by Vladimir Putin?
Well, I certainly think he's acting like someone who's compromised, and it may very well be that he is compromised, or it may very well be that he believes that he's compromised, that the Russians have information on him.
The Russians gave help, and the president made full use of that help. And that is pretty damning, whether it is proof beyond a reasonable doubt of conspiracy or not.
Remember when the sponsor of the bill said that his office didn't meet with the whistleblower? Found out that wasn't true.
We have not spoken directly with the whistleblower. We would like to.
He expressed regret for what he said on the initial interview with Morning Joe. He clearly wasn't being forthright in that interview with us a couple weeks ago.
Remember when the sponsor told us this? There was more than circumstantial evidence that President Trump colluded with Russia.
But you admit all you have right now is a circumstantial case.
Actually, no, Chuck. I can tell you that the case is more than that, and I can't go into the particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now.
That turned out to be false. Bob Mueller said it was false. Everyone knew it was false. In fact, it was such baloney, even the Washington Post has had to retract and change things from stories because they said, oh, yeah, there was a lot of false information in that dossier. that they used to go spy on President Trump's campaign.
A major walk back from the Washington Post, a paper correcting and retracting large portions of two articles based on the now discredited Steele dossier.
Adam Schiff gets a multi-million-dollar book deal and still hilariously claims that this collusion occurred in that book, and he'll continue to be the Michael Avenatti on 2/3 of cable news, despite him being completely disproven, because that's just the way it works now.
He was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, the committee that gets additional information from anyone else in the country, making those claims that were not accurate.
And you've got all the makings of a potential witness for the Select Committee. Amazingly, however, he wanted to be on the committee. House Speaker Pelosi said no, and ever since, including in this week's contempt vote against Mark Meadows, House Republicans have been crying foul.
I understand Pelosi didn't want Jim Jordan, for example, on the committee, but I can assure you Republicans didn't want Adam Schiff or Jamie Raskins on the committee.
We have a January 6th committee that Nancy Pelosi is leading that is nothing but a political witch hunt on Republicans and Trump supporters.
Did she set the committee itself to be one-sided? Yes. More so than any select committee before? Yes, she did.
That it really has turned out to be nothing more than a partisan committee just to investigate the former president.
I think it's very clear to the American public. This is a sham.
Well, keep it honest, it's not. Keep it honest, it's not.
But I know a political motive when I see one. And I know a phony committee hearing when I see one, when they don't want to get to all the facts, but when they're promoting politics.
It's not.
We saw Democrats, the rioters and looters who attacked law enforcement, who destroyed small businesses, who attacked innocent civilians. We saw Democrats raise money to bail them out of jail. So with that backdrop, it's kind of hard to say, hey, we need more of you here on January 6th to protect the Capitol grounds and protect the personnel inside the Capitol. So I don't think they want to get to that question. I think that's why they kicked Mr. Banks and me, why the Speaker kicked us off, or I guess not kicked us off, didn't even let us go on the committee.
But it might have been. So far from what we know of the committee, it's been diligent, focused on facts, and not tangents. The two Republicans who do serve on the committee have distinguished themselves across party lines. Joining us now is Washington Post opinion columnist Dana Milbanks. His latest piece is titled "Meadows' Texts Show Trump Did What GOP Falsely Claimed Clinton Did in Benghazi." In it, he writes this about Jim Jordan. Quote, Jordan, in his addendum to the Benghazi report, wrote that the Obama administration, quote, so blinded by politics and its desire to win an election, disregarded a basic duty of government: tell the people the truth.
As you know, when this attack happened, the White House initially said it arose out of a spontaneous protest over an anti-Muslim video. That turned out not to be true.
Tell the people the truth.
It was a crude and disgusting video. It sparked outrage throughout the Muslim world. The natural protests that arose because of the outrage over the video were used as an excuse by extremists.
Obama and Hillary and Panetta and Biden and Susan all came up to me at the casket ceremony. Every one of them came up to me, gave me a big hug, and I asked them what happened. Please tell me. And every one of them says, it was the video.
Tell the people the truth. He continues, 5 years later, with democracy itself on the line, Jordan and his colleagues are fighting the truth as if their very survival depends on it.
They had two different stories. Privately, they told the truth. Publicly, they misled the American people.
Why?
Politics.
So when you see Jim Jordan now, compared to the Jim Jordan of the Benghazi investigation, how do you explain the difference?
Your viewers are not going to be shocked to know that there's hypocrisy in politics. And there's always been some element of, where you stand depends on where you sit on which side of the aisle.
Milbank tasked an artificial intelligence company with analyzing hundreds of thousands of news articles from dozens of media outlets. And the results here, quote, the media treats Biden as badly as or worse than Trump. Joining us now is Dana Milbanks. What did you find?
Right. Fiscal note, the folks who did this for me, they cast a very wide net. So you get the extremes and also all of us in the middle to the greatest extent possible. Get the extremes and also all of us in the middle to the greatest extent possible. We are as negative as a collective media on Joe Biden, if not more so than we were to Donald Trump. So it feels like everything's changed. The media has become much more aggressive in a conventional way towards Trump.
Last October, like most pundits, Washington Post columnist Dana Milbanks confidently predicted the bombastic billionaire's campaign was doomed. Trump will lose or I will eat this column was the headline. Milbanks wrote, "I'm so certain Trump won't win the nomination that I'll eat my words if he does." Literally. The day Trump clinches the nomination, I will eat the page on which this column is printed.
So I can now state with great confidence that Donald Trump will not win the presidency, and if he does, Norm Ornstein will eat my column.
It's one of the headlines out today from the Washington Post newspaper is about the fact that the last time Donald Trump, as the Post reports, made his income tax returns public, it proved that he paid zero taxes to the federal government right now.
He's done a remarkable job of being sort of the candidate of the common man, speaking up for the little guy. And when they find out that he's worth billions and he's paying not a cent, well, that would be a problem. We'll get the extremes, and also all of us in the middle to the greatest extent possible.
A new Washington Post opinion piece titled "Donald Trump is a bigot and a racist." So, Dana, let me just ask you point blank. You're saying Donald Trump is a bigot and a racist?
I am, and that's not something I had said before.
Washington Post columnist Dana Milbanks writes in his latest column that it's President Biden, not Trump, who may actually have a legitimate gripe with the media.
I mean, if you're talking about the press corps in particular, there's just a hatred for Hillary Clinton. I think an animus towards her that transcends ideology. And
I agree with reporters not being partisan, but we should be partisan when it comes to democracy. We should be partisan when it comes to the facts. And I think that's where I think we need to take a stand.
Dana Milbanks, opinion writer for the Washington Post, who just penned a piece. Yes, half of Trump supporters are racist.
Thank you for being someone who actually said this. And quite frankly, there's a racialized element to this as well, that I'm happy that you're the individual who said this. When the man ran basically saying, I'm going to clear out this country of anybody who's not white and straight.
That was bullshit.
There were years, all we heard about was Benghazi, 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 at least until we found out about Hillary's emails. Supposedly this stand-down order, the Republicans alleged that the military could have come to the rescue of the Americans at the consulate in Benghazi, but somebody gave a stand-down order and that wasn't allowed to happen. In fact, that was not the case. There was no stand-down order.
The guys are very clear that there was a stand-down order. They absolutely insist, and one in particular, John Tigan, identified publicly in the book, he was told those words. Bob, the base chief, the CIA base chief in Benghazi, told him to stand down.
Stand down!
That was not the case. There was no stand-down order, and certainly Hillary Clinton had nothing to do with assigning the military to do anything.
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
Was there a stand-down order?
To us, there was. Yeah, to us on the ground there by our local leadership, there was, yes.
We know that the president was being called upon to do something to stop the attack by his own supporters. And talk about a stand-down order. He waited 3 hours something before even saying they should go home.
He waited 3 hours something before even saying they should go home.
Well, the president was speaking every hour, on the hour, it seems like, speaking in Twitter form at 2:38, 3:13, calling for peace, calling to respect the cops, to go home, and then out loud to a camera at 4:17 p.m. He's busted, but
no, the Pentagon was slow walking these desperate pleas to have the National Guard come out there. So basically what was falsely alleged to have happened in Benghazi is exactly what happened on January 6th. So where is the outrage?
Shove it up your ass.
I am your voice.